of the pool very quickly this evening.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I did.
Is it still heated?
Yes, it's still heated. Yep. But it's still hard when you come out because it's still cold. The heating only heats the water. It doesn't heat all the air around.
Not for very far.
No. Okay, we are welcome to another edition of Wine and Whiskey Wednesday with the Hot Ninjas.
That looks like water.
My eyes. I'm sorry?
That looks like water in a wine glass.
It's not. It's actually wine in a wine glass.
Okay.
For a change.
I don't know. That looks very pale there, Juliet.
Yours
too,
Steve.
I didn't do the Chardonnay.
Mine is water, Tiffany.
Yeah, I didn't do the Chardonnay. And there's Mr. Salmanis. How are you, sir?
They look exactly the same, Steve.
This is straight moonshine.
Okay, so cheers. I don't think we did that. Cheers.
No, we did. Wow, you're losing your memory, you know. That
I am.
It truly is wine in there.
No, she had all the wine beforehand, which is why it's now water.
Yeah. Okay, so tonight's topic is going to be it's going to be conference. We're in the middle of conference season as for our industry. And how are you, Mr. Salmanis? You look a little
disheveled and
distracted.
No, we can actually see your face. You don't have a hat on.
It's been that kind of day, but it's been a good day. There's a lot of things going on simultaneously. So
one of these.
Yep.
Yeah. So
plates in the air.
You were multitasking, Brett?
Multi-slacking. It's a difference. Very subtle difference.
Multitasking is good.
Yeah. Okay. Just lots on the calendar. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Where is Jacqueline?
I see Sarah just popped in. Yeah, I thought Jacqueline's here like every month.
Jacqueline is a rock star. She has perfect attendance.
Yeah, she's usually here. She's usually the first person here.
She's usually here when we're not here. She is just here every time.
Having her own party.
Shout out to Jacqueline. Hopefully you will join us later or see you later.
Oh, wait a minute. Can't make it tonight, but I'll check it out later according to Facebook.
Oh. All right, cool. Thank you.
Well, we miss Jacqueline.
Sarah, come on out.
Tonight's topic is, since we're in the throes of conference season, some of the conferences, it's already been, I think, 3 or 4 conferences that have taken place since the beginning of September. So we thought that we would have a conversation about the importance of conferences from your team perspective. When do you start sending your team to conferences? When do you not take your team? Because conferences are expensive. You've got your output, people think, well, I just have the conference fee, but you don't. You have the conference fee. Usually you have accommodations. If it's a multi-day conference, you have to put them up somewhere. Meals, if they're not like QB Connects, where all the meals are pretty much provided for you. Travel time, if you have to fly them somewhere, or mileage, if they're traveling or go training it, or some kind of travel expense. And then non-billable time. Not that that's really a problem for anyone, because no one bills by the hour in our audience, but it's still, everyone's workload has to fit in a shorter time span. So is there a stress level, for your team if you pull them out and take them to conferences? So that's kind of what the topic is tonight, is how to decide when is the best time to send your team. Do you send your whole team? Do you send part of your team? And then how do you get value out of all the expenditure that you're putting out to send your team there?
And if you don't have a team, how do you prepare to go to a conference?
And how do you get value out of the conference? Because all those expenses still have to be outlaid by your business for you. So how do you make sure that you get value out of the conferences? So we've got QB Connect San Jose coming up in a couple of weeks. We've got QB Connect Toronto coming up in the first week of December. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Are there any other conferences that anybody knows about that are coming up? Are there any CPA conferences or other tech conferences that are coming up?
Thrival Weekend is coming up next weekend or 2 weekends.
Are you going?
No, I'm not.
Sorry, what is coming up?
Thrival.
Right. Okay. In the US, yeah.
Yeah, South Carolina, I'm going to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's like a hot skip and a jump for you.
I know, that's the best part. It's on the East Coast for once.
Yeah, I looked at it too, but the flight was still quite expensive. And then trying to get a hotel down there, along with, just paying for 2 other conferences. I had to figure out where was I going to get the value.
And it's not, it's in South Carolina. I mean, even for me to get there, it's not easy because it's not a place you go to. It's supposed to be beautiful, but it's not like I can fly direct. I got to go to Atlanta and then head over. Yeah, it's only an hour and a half. Yeah. It's not like.
So how do you determine what conference you want to go to? Because there's so many of them.
So maybe that's where we start.
Story of my life.
You go to.
Well, this year was nuts. Like that was not usual. I tried scaling. I doubt I'll ever go back to scaling as much as it was a good conference. It's like, it wasn't my thing as much. Connect in San Jose is always going to be a priority. And then I'm going to kind of balance it around there, maybe do 3 a year from now on. Cause it really is, you mentioned earlier, it's the time away from work, the opportunity cost of your time, right? So the more conferences that I go to, the more I realize, a lot of the messages are still the same. I go for the people. Right. So if you can hit 3 concerts it is like a concert, conferences.
Okay. So now we know what you do with
Freudian slip.
Well, you've seen me at these things. Look at my Twitter banner. It looks like people tell me it looks like a concert that I'm at. But anyways, I mean, there's that, everyone's got to do it individually, and decide what's best for your business. And as far as if I had a team, I would definitely send them to Connect. I mean, what a great way to get indoctrinated into the whole, passion, the passionate community and the tool and everything about it. Everyone comes away from that conference transformed. I mean, it did it to me in 2015. I would definitely consider sending a team, but it's all based on economics, right? You can't take everyone always. Maybe you bring your top performer, maybe you bring just your manager or your supervisor to get them started. And then you can start filtering it down through the ranks. I think shutting down an entire business you don't see that in San Jose, but in London, that's what everyone does. You see entire firms show up. They shut down for a week and they go to it. We saw it everywhere. In fact, we didn't see a lot of solos there. And a lot of them is funny. They all wear similar t-shirts. It's like you're going to a sporting event and everyone's cheering for their favorite football team, footy team, soccer team. That's what it was kind of like. So I think we just do it differently over here. It seems to be more of an individual thing. You don't see firms as often, but I think that any firm of any size should consider sending as many people as they can afford and that they can fit into their operating plan. So.
Okay. So then you brought up a whole bunch of points there. So let's start with the first one that you said. So you talked about scaling new heights. And we forgot about all of the other ones as well, the smaller Get Connected events that Intuit does.
And their roadshow.
Yeah, now they've got the roadshow, and of course it's in Calgary in a few weeks. So it's like, do I go? Do I not go? And even that one, I'm thinking, well, I've been to a lot of QuickBooks conferences. Am I really going to get value out of it? But then you think, well, the FOMO kicks in a bit. So it's like, maybe I should go. Maybe I don't want to go. Yeah. The reality is, that
Linda, you're going to San Jose, right? Linda?
Me? Yeah,
you're going to San Jose. Mm-hmm. So what made you decide to go to this one in South Carolina when San Jose is only a month away?
Intuit's paying for me to go to speak on their behalf and hand out swag.
Okay.
That's a good deal.
So
that makes perfect sense.
But then I'm going to Toronto and I'm paying for that. So, but that's fun. I like that one.
You're coming to Toronto again this year? Awesome.
Tiffany's letting us stay at her house now.
Yep. I don't mind. I got lots of room.
I've seen her house on the videos. I'm like, oh, it's a nice house.
Lots of room.
Tiffany's house is too far to commute if you want to attend all the parties.
Oh.
Yeah, well, they can just land here. Then we'll take the transit in and then stay in a hotel together or stay Airbnb.
Yeah, there we go. Sounds like
I was thinking they could stay at our place and you could just keep the pool open.
I offered you a room, Linda.
But
I offered you a massive.
I know. I know you offered us the room. We haven't booked anything yet. We're focusing on one conference at a time.
Totally.
Make our way through. So I haven't even booked any tickets. And so not like me, because I'm like Sarah. I'm like, I like to plan ahead, but I'm trying to really focus on, well, I'm focusing on Deeper Weekend. Then I'll focus on the next one. It's just so many things are happening right now. It's like my head is spinning.
So Suzanne, are you attending San Jose and Toronto? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm not doing San Jose, but I don't know. I keep toying with the idea of doing it next year, but I keep saying that every year. So
one of these years.
Yeah, one of these years. Yeah, I'm going to Toronto. I'm doing but I'm taking my whole team to Toronto. And I'm actually going to do a session at Toronto.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
nice.
So yeah.
Congratulations. That's cool.
Are you gonna share what the session is?
I'm a newbie at this session, so no, because then you might attend. So it's
you know there is an agenda, right? So I can see when you're speaking.
I know, I thought that too, but it's called Framework for Success. So we'll see how
cool.
I'm sure it'll go through a few iterations before it actually, before that date. But yeah.
Before they change the title of it on you.
You did an awesome job.
But that's it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to one of the things that Brad said when he was talking about all the conferences this year, and to decide what's best for your business. So how do you decide which conference is best for your business? If you've never attended any of them, how do you decide? Because they all sound the same. In theory, they all sound the same. Is it, I'm going to throw it out there, I'm not going to answer the question. How do you decide which conference is best for your business?
Does it come down to why do you go to a conference? And then once you figure out why, you can you figure out where.
Well, the first time I went to one was QuickBooks Connect San Jose, because it's the big one. And it was QuickBooks, and I'd been watching every year, everybody having fun. And I read the content and I was like, I got to do this. And I was a scared girl going there all by myself. And I was on East Coast time, got there late and went to bed. I didn't go to anything after party. 6 o'clock, I was in bed. I was up at 3. I worked. I did everything wrong. I didn't really network except sit at tables with people and talk to them at lunch. But I mean, everything I did the first time, I completely flipped it the second time I went. But it was so great. I mean, that conference is the best. If you're going to go to one, I'd say QuickBooks San Jose or Toronto equally are, just because they're put on by Intuit and they're so good. They're so well done. I like scaling though for different reasons. I enjoyed that one. So,
you did?
I did.
So define.
So you had a change of heart then. When I talked to you earlier, you had reservations.
Yeah, I did. And I think it's because I took some of the content and the content was really good.
Yeah,
and
they do have great content. There's no doubt about that.
I also had the ability, a lot of the Intuit people that you don't get to talk to because they're so in full blown mode.
Yeah,
and
they don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, they were like, they spent more time. We had more time talking to them, and we were in the in that Pro Advisor Society room.
That place was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely that, because it's not their gig. It's Joe's team has to put all the effort in, and the Intuit guys get to be like the app partners. They work hard on the floor, but they have more time to they don't have as much to deal with, and it shows because they're all pretty chill. I mean, when you see Kim Amspa sitting in one place talking to one person for an hour and she looks totally chill.
Yeah.
And you see her in San Jose and she's just go nonstop, right? You can just see the wheels turning. You didn't really have to do that. And even like Sean on the social media team, I hardly ever see her, and she was hanging out a lot and then of course the big shots give you that effort as well. They spread themselves really thin in San Jose, because you remember Brad used to walk through the hall and he's constantly surrounded by people, and he's loving every minute of it, but he told me, he says, holy crap, it takes a lot of commitment to just be there, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to reasons to attend one conference over another.
I can boil it down to one word: is people. I go to the conference that is going to provide the best value from a networking perspective, because that's where I get the value from my own business, learning from others, seeing what else is out there, hearing the different ideas. And you know, that's why I love San Jose is my favorite, because we get a ton of Canadians down there. But you get the American contingent. Unfortunately, the be no, except for, you know, like, and Will, you know, it's the people, I think.
So if you've never attended
just go
a
to
conference,
learn.
though, if you've never attended a conference, though, how do you know which one is going to have your people? And you create tribes of
Well,
whichever
you
conference
don't,
you go
because
to.
yeah.
Right.
You look at 2015 San Jose, like I knew nobody in this community. I knew Rachel Fish and Jeff Joshua. That was it. And I got down there and instantly I felt like it didn't matter, because I got to know so many people so quickly. It's just conducive to that. So that, say, the people side, you know, and QuickBooks Connect has a fantastic reputation for being a connecting conference. Now, Toronto is awesome too. When the first time I went to Toronto, I was so proud. You know, Canada has their thing and it was awesome, but it's still not San Jose. I mean, San Jose is 2.5 times bigger, and, you know, the stage and just everything about it. But the whole brand, they do such a fantastic job with the QuickBooks Connect brand. You know, I saw it in London too, and it's the same feel. It's just different. It's tailored. And I've heard Australia has its own flavor as well. But I think that the Intuit team does such a good job of just putting on events. They're brilliant at it. And so I think if you're a QuickBooks user, or you're sort of support other brands and stuff, that's the conference you want to go to. So because you'll get indoctrinated a bit.
Is it software driven? You know, is that
well, in that case, it is, but it shouldn't all be that way, because there's lots of, like Tiffany mentioned, or Linda mentioned Thrival. I mean, has nothing to do with brands and software. It's about, you know, firms and leadership and all these different concepts. I mean, that's like school. It sounds cool in its own right. You're going to know a lot of people there anyways, because you know them from the other conferences. So that's kind of both.
When we were at IPBC and we were sitting at one of the tables at one of the sessions, you said something about, which I thought was really interesting, about the people at the conference. Do you remember what you said? It was, and I'm paraphrasing probably horribly, but you were talking about how at conferences, everyone is so open to meeting new people.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, one of the things that, like, my first conference was QuickBooks Thrive, I think. Okay. So that was my first one. So that was mine. And I remember feeling almost sick going into it, because I knew no one. I didn't know what anyone was. I didn't know where to go. I was following the herd. Everyone looked like, it felt like the first day of high school where you're like the new kid. Everyone knew everybody and was, hey, high-fiving, and everyone was and I was like alone with my bed. That's what it felt like. I felt so isolated. Like, and so one of the things of now that you've gone to more conferences and know more people, to start, one of the things that makes me hesitate to go to San Jose, and admittedly, is the fact that I don't want that feeling again. Man up and go. I get that, but that is honestly part of it, because it was so overwhelming, and it still can be so overwhelming. Then to go to San Jose, which is that much bigger again, that's one thing that actually holds me back from going to San Jose. But,
well, you know, at least 5 people that go to San Jose.
That's right.
That's all it takes, right? You just have somebody to kind of walk around with. I have a good friend here in Calgary and / business partner, Eric Lee is his name. I talked him into coming to San Jose, and he's nervous about it. And I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to, you know, keep you under my wing and we'll take care of you. But it's just got him a bit, that anticipatory stress, right? You just, but he also knows
either. So I don't it's not like I'm really great with, like, you know, like we were like, oh, we'll just hop a bus in Toronto. And I'm like, I've never been on a Toronto bus. They were like staring at me like, what planet are you from? I'm like, not everyone in Canada is from Toronto, okay? So it was just like, and so that gives me an extra layer of stress too, is the actual travel part. So I'm
a bad traveler, so I'm with you.
On the bright side, Suzanne, when you do go to San Jose, there's just another 4,500 people for you to meet.
Yeah. And it is true. Like at conferences, everyone is open. I think that's what I was talking about. Everyone is open, and no one is there to be like, you sit at a table and you talk to someone beside you, and it's not like at, high school where people would roll your eyes. I had a bad time in high school, I guess. But whereas we're in the conference though, everyone's there to learn from everybody else. So I do find people are awesome at conferences, even if you don't know anybody.
I think also in our industry, being an introvert is a more common personality than being an extrovert. Yeah. So everybody feels the same nervousness and everybody feels the same thing, that when you're sitting next to someone, and if you take the initiative, they're probably so relieved that somebody is talking to them because they don't know how to start that first conversation. Okay, so let's switch back then to taking teams. So if you have a team and you're looking to take your team, some or all, is that a good way, for them to go because they're going with somebody else? Whether you're taking one team member, there's now two of you attending the conference, so you already know somebody. Or if you're sending two team members that, they can go to sessions together. Is that a strategy that you would use? Or if you're sending two people, do you want them to divide and conquer? No, you go to this and you go. What are you guys' thoughts?
Juliet, do you remember that team that came to Calgary, Get Connected Calgary? They were like one team of 20. I think, I forget the name of their company.
Yeah, I don't remember the firm.
They told me, I've got to know both the managing partners quite well since then. And they said it was the best thing they'd ever done because I don't know if you recall, but they were winning contests. There were like things that they could do, and they went out and they did a team building thing around the contest that the social media team had put together for them, and they just aced it. They were all over social media. When Graham Sherman was talking to people in the back room, they brought their entire firm in to meet him, and they just had the best time. Well, Al and Carrie, it transformed their firm because they had all these disjointed pieces in their company, and then when they went, they had this team building mentality, and it's been really good ever since.
Okay. So is that a benefit?
What do you do with your team, Suzanne, when they go to Toronto? Are you going to divide and conquer, or are you going to ask them?
So we ask them, we try and we kind of all look at sessions. It's kind of because all of us are bookkeepers and planners, and we take out the sessions and highlight which ones we're going to. And then, so we try to like my one bookkeeper was not, they were doing different options the last time. I'm like, no, you need to go to the people one, the one to work with people. I want you in that session.
I don't want to go to the HR one.
So we had a couple, we were laughing about it, but there was an underline of, no, actually, but you really should. So it was, and it's good. Like we do tend to, some of the sessions though are really neat, and we all want to go to the same one, and we do, but we do try to conquer and divide and compare notes a little bit. And it's, for us, it's the same thing like Brad said. I wasn't planning on taking them again, but it was such a team building thing. Cool. It was a massive team building, and we talked about it. And I went to, that picture booth they had at the last one. So I went to my, cause they're off site, right? Like we all work, but I went to her house, and the picture was taped to her computer, and she's like, remember how fun that was? And then the other bookkeeper was like, yeah, I had mine put up there, and like it was a thing. So
there's the value right there.
Yeah,
right? They're taking their work home and they're admiring it.
Yeah, and they were telling her, and then it became and also it's exhausting to always be the one. Okay, we need to push. Okay, we're learning. Okay, new apps, new whatever. Whereas now they're learning. It's not just because I'm obsessive. Like it's the industry's going this way, and so they get a broader perspective too. So it was the intrinsic value was surprising. So yeah, that's why we're bringing everyone again.
That's awesome. So I remember so we went for the first time to San Jose in 2014 and came back just so excited about everything that we were going to implement and everything that we were going to change based on what we saw at the conference.
Was that desktop, Juliet, in 2014?
Yes, we were.
Nice. There you go. That's a case.
And we're never going to QBO, Brad, ever.
I've heard that story. Yeah.
But we came back, and I was so excited because of everything that I'd seen, but my team wasn't. And so Suzanne, what you said, where it's always you that was pushing, my team was like, no, like, we're just going to stay where we are. We're fine where we are. And if you do take them to a conference, and there's only so much excitement that you can generate internally, but where they see that other people are saying, hey, the industry is moving and look at all the cool stuff that's happening, it is completely different. So there is huge value in it, even if you're able to take some key people and you're not able to take everybody, so that it's not just you and your firm that's pushing, but that you have other people moving with you in that direction. So no, that's a great point. So team building you get out of it. I've heard a lot of people say that they can't afford to take the time away from the office to go. That and I know some people, as Linda said, the first year, she was working in the morning before the conference started. So from your experience, Linda, having done that, would you still recommend they go, even if part of the conference time they're having to work?
I would tell anybody on the East Coast, don't do what I did. It was the parties are the best part. And I was too afraid to go, to be honest with you. I was too afraid to go when I was by myself. And I was just like Suzanne said, I was scared. I didn't know anybody. I felt like I was in this massive bunch of people and everybody looked like they were going. They were all hugging and having fun and I didn't know anybody. And I just think that if you're going to go and do it, I wouldn't work.
Okay.
That would be my advice. My daughter wants me to send her, but she's got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. She wants me to send her and she's just going to stay in the room where it's quiet and not even go to the conference. She just wants to go and stay in the room. I'm like, no, I'm not paying for that. Can I just go and stay in the room? I'm like, nope. But I've not taken her or even thought about taking her, and I could. I mean, she could definitely come with me, but yeah, I've never really thought about it. I go for myself, and I suppose if there was a benefit for an employee to go, I would think it'd be good, but yeah.
What about anyone else? If it's a choice between having to do some work and going, or not going and staying, what would you recommend?
Not everyone's speaking one.
Well,
I don't even know.
If you're in a situation where you've never been, or someone who's never been, and they're going to their first conference, and we've just heard from Suzanne and Linda how they felt about going to their first one. What's the one piece of advice you would give them?
If anything, you want to soften the blow of when you get there and you don't know anyone. Maybe hit the Facebook groups. There's so many of them, right? That on both sides of the border, and just lurk on there and see what's going on and try and get to know who's who, and maybe just create conversations with people and get to know them that way. I think that is because now that's my biggest priority, is always to make a list of the people that I missed talking to at previous conferences. I'm reaching out to them offline and saying, hey, let's hook up for sure, and guarantee that. So maybe just try and get to know who people are and get in on the buzz, like, that sort of thing. Yeah. Just start to feel, I know a lot of people tell me they come because they hear discussions about it. And you're not going to know anything about it unless you investigate and you research it. So that's why I think social media is pretty good for that.
Do you actively reach out to people before the conference to try and arrange to meet up with them at the conference?
They're always the first people I see when I get to the conference, because I've been in touch with them for days, weeks, months, whatever. And when I get there, I'm looking for them, and they're usually the first people I see. So definitely, it's just, every conference I come away from, I think I wish I spent more time with, and I usually have a list like that. So it's just always that one person or two people or three people I really want to talk to and get to know better, instead of just knowing them through social media.
Okay. What about you, Tiffany? Do you try to set up anything with people ahead of time before going to the conference?
So my first conference that I went to was scaling in 2016. It was Thrive in 2015. I didn't know anybody at scaling, because it's a different group of people. Now they're crossing over, but back then it was a different group of people. I mean, I know Juliet after the second year, because Juliet, were you at, because we went to the Bahamas. That's why I went.
That's why I always wanted to go. And they used to have it in places like New Orleans and Disney World. And, you know, I got Utah, which was fine.
Utah was beautiful.
It's not
Bahamas.
Quite
the Bahamas though, Brad.
No, it was the Bahamas that got me interested. I thought Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous conference. Instead, it's kind of the opposite. It almost sunk Joe. But it's like I got attracted just for that. But what I noticed this year, and I talked to a lot of people that are regulars, there's a lot of regulars. It's like summer camp for them. Never mind QuickBooks Connect. A lot of them are like, no way. Scaling New Heights is my place, and there's a lot of that going on.
And there, you do get tribes, and at all.
Oh yeah, there's lots of very established tribes that have been around for a long time, and they're proud of it. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but they have all their little achievement badges. It's like going to summer camp or with the Cub Scouts or something. They get badges and all kinds of things. And I'm looking around, I got nothing on mine. I'm like, okay, but yeah, and they loved it.
Okay, so Tiffany, sorry, you were saying that you're scaling, and had you lined up people to speak to because you didn't know anybody?
No, not at Scaling the first time, because there wasn't really that culture that was out there on Facebook and stuff at that point. But the next year, because I had been so involved with the Facebook group, I got to meet people online. And so it was like a reunion at all, like at the next Scaling and at QB Connect, because it was like, you know, oh my God, like Mariette and I just screamed from across the room and just ran at each other, but we had never met each other. Right. And it's just, you know, when you've built a relationship in social media, you know, even if it's just in Twitter, there's still a relationship that's being built there. And I find, so other conferences that I consider, I try to get into that first so that I can kind of get a feel for people. And then I don't necessarily reach out, although, you know what, there was the CPA conference, the Infinite CPA that we just had in Toronto, which is a brand new conference, never has happened before. And so they have an amazing app. So what I actually did was I actually did connect through a couple of people on the app prior to the event, and then made sure that we made in contact just over lunch or something.
Okay, so how many of you, so we're all on social media. We're all talking about Facebook groups. None of my team has a Twitter handle. None of my team is on Facebook. So they're not gonna go through those steps of connecting with people in advance. Is that unusual? What about everyone?
I think we're unusual. I think social media people are unusual in that we do use it so aggressively. People don't think of Facebook as a business tool. It's been the best business tool I could imagine because it's introduced me to more people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some people aren't that way. They're just like, no. I want to keep it separate. I want my private life private, and I want my business life business.
But it's a mindset shift. Because
absolutely.
Even though they know, I mean, everyone on my team knows that we do Wine and Whiskey Wednesday, and that we have our own, a Kninja group, and that we're actively involved in a lot of the other groups. Whenever they have a question that they can't solve, they never think, oh, I should post that in a Facebook group. Whereas that's the first thing that I think of.
That's what everyone does.
Go throw it in a group and see if anyone else has had the challenge. They're more apt to call support for the software than to throw it in the group. So
I tagged Ravina. She's the best. I was at a client last week, and I had a kind of an embarrassing problem. I was trying to set them up for a QBO license, and I went there to set them up with them watching, and it started flaking out a bit with my phone number. So I said, watch this. And I tagged Ravina, and like 30 seconds later, I swear I had my answer. Yeah. And she went, oh, that's kind of cool. I said, yeah. And that was that. But
so do you think that sending team members to conferences encourages that interaction with people outside of the firm as well? So. Suzanne, have you seen that at all with your team?
No, when they go, they usually talk to each other. They definitely usually stick together. Actually, so much so that's one of the reasons I like going to one conference separate from them, because then I still have a little bit, I can connect my own. on my own so I do anyways, but so they hand out along with each other, but they do in some of the sessions, like everybody, or you sit at a table and you just talk to the people beside you. So they do that too. But the majority of the time they're together, for sure.
But that's good too.
Has anyone ever seen a breakdown for the numbers for QB Connect as to how many of the attendees are like practice owners or practice partners versus, you know, employees of a firm?
Yeah,
Good
I'd like
question.
to know
Or
that.
small businesses.
Yeah, because there's definitely, because sometimes when I sit down beside someone a few times, I've talked to them, sometimes they're, oh, I'm here because my firm sent me, or I do bookkeeping for my firm, and they don't know what this QBO thing is, so I got them to whatever, like, and so there's definitely a group of that, and there seems to be, I don't know, I mean, I don't know how random my poll sample size is, but there does definitely seem to be more people that way. So it would be interesting to know the breakdown of business owners, because they try to pull those people into QB Connect, and those people. Like,
they're trying really hard.
You know, I mean, I get the feeling from San Jose, and this certainly is not a scientific study by any stretch of the imagination, but it feels like most of the people appear to be owners of a firm, you know, or owners of their own business, as opposed to working for someone else.
And Toronto,
now that could also be, you know, because business owners hang out with business owners, and I don't know, but it just seems that way. Does anybody else have an opinion?
Do you find
on
Toronto has more people working than San Jose? Yeah.
Well, one thing that Jennifer Baldick noticed recently is that depending on how you search for QuickBooks Connect, there's actually business-related searches where when you get there, there's no mention of accountant's day or accounting events and things like that. We saw a screenshot of that the other day. So they're definitely trying to pull in more business owners. That's always been what separates QuickBooks Connect. In Canada, we have Get Connected. They have those in the UK and I think in Australia as well. Get Connected is not QB Connect. Get Connected is designed for accountants. QB Connect is designed for accountants and business owners. That's the big difference. So I think they're pushing harder now to get more businesses involved. And I've talked to people from that other company, starting with X. They said the same thing. They said it's a real challenge to get business owners out to their events as well. It's just, they don't want it to just be accountants and bookkeepers. These are the end users, right? That's who they're truly targeting, are those people as well. So having them all under one roof is awesome, because it's a great opportunity for us to network and maybe find some business. It's also a great opportunity for them to, you know, learn about making their businesses better. So it's a great combination. I had a client down in San Jose 2 years ago. He only went because he bought a $99 early bird. He has a buddy that lives in San Jose. And airfare from Calgary, you can get it really cheap. So he went there just to hang out. He said, I'm not coming back. He had a great time, but he said, that's kind of overkill. But, you know, getting businesses there, that makes it different.
I'm not sure if you posted this before or after you joined, but you said in the chat, it's a great idea to create your profile in the conference app and try to contribute content where you can. And that's a great way for other people even to reach out to you before the conference, so that it's all not one way. That's a great idea as well.
Yeah, those apps are great. And it's amazing how many people leave them empty. That's the first thing I do when I log into it is touch it up.
Fill in your profile.
Definitely.
Okay. Excellent. And so Bianca was talking about time zones make a big difference if you do have to work. Take that into account. And Jennifer Baldick. And Jennifer, why aren't you online with us? You're overdue for an on-site visit. Agreed with Bianca and said that if you are going to work, again, great advice, be sure to check the schedule and plan when you're going to work, so you're not doing it like Linda at 3 a.m. in the morning. So that
when are you going to work when you're there?
So that you can be focused on the work when working and focus on the conferencing when conferencing.
I don't know how you can work there. I see people doing it. I just don't know how it's physically done with everything else going on. Right? Oh yeah, I could see that.
Your business has to keep running. regardless. Okay, so we've come up with some reasons as to why you take your team, to get them excited, to do some team building as well. Anything else as to reasons why you should take your team?
Education.
Education.
That's a good
PD.
reason.
There's a lot of PD there.
Yeah.
You get buy-in. They're the ones that pushed us to Receipt Bank, because they went to the Receipt Bank stuff and they're like, why aren't we using Receipt Bank? And I said, because I've been too lazy to implement it. And they were, well, this is great. And then they bought into it and actually pushed it forward. So sometimes you get buy-in from them. So that's really great.
Okay, so Matthew, yes. So they don't throw a party while you're gone. Okay. I think it was the first year that we went, one of the ladies at my office said, yeah, don't worry, we'll have cleaned up everything by the time that you're back.
That's
But
cool.
I'll tell you, my favorite video, one of my favorite QB Connect videos ever related, is when you guys won Firm of the Future and you guys had the video of your team waiting for the results and the excitement before and after. That was pretty awesome. Like that just shows you that
they were doing, that we didn't even know they were doing that.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was heartwarming. It was exciting. It just added to the whole experience. So
yeah, it was great. Okay. Any other reasons as to why you take your team? Okay. When do you take your team? If you're new or you have a new team, do you have a requirement that they have to be with you for a certain amount of time before you take your team? When do you take your team?
Yeah, would you take a new hire? And if you do, would you pay 100% for their cost to be there?
as soon as you don't pay, they're not going to want to go. So I think it's either
whose benefit
100%
is it?
done. Yeah, it's yours.
I think you got to pay no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not cheap. I mean, it's really not.
It adds up.
Even with the early birds,
Well,
especially
and
airfare and
hours.
hotel.
Yeah, even the early bird pricing. But I mean, like Brad, seriously, if you had to pay for all the conferences that you attend, would you go?
Well, definitely not. But at the same
Right.
time, that's not
Your
the point.
conversation is a bit different than other people.
It is, but with me, I get something more of it. I mean, I work my ass off at those conferences. I don't just sit back and do nothing either. It is like work in a different way. But that's why I get to these conferences, and that's awesome. But I see immense value in them. I also know how expensive they are. And I do decide, I don't get automatic on anything by any stretch. There's a lot of conferences out there that I have to decide, is it worth my while to be at this conference? And cost definitely is a huge factor, whether I go or not. But it's another reason why I go to some of them is like, okay, that's pretty good value. I'm going to get better bang for my buck if I go to this concert over this one.
So if you have a team and they've never had the opportunity, or you can't afford to send them to, the QB Connect Toronto or the QB Connect San Jose because they aren't local, and so there's a significant outlay of investment for you from the firm, has anyone thought about, sending them to the local Get Connected or the road show, that it would still?
Those are a good idea. For that reason, I think those are the people that should go to those.
I would say that those probably would hold more value for the firm for giving the employees the opportunity for, additional training. The other ones are great, hurrah. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, I don't know, it isn't just professional development that's going on in those are parties as well. And you have to consider that those are taxable benefits to the employees as well, right? So do they want that to be part of their compensation package? I don't know. But the one-day ones, you don't have to, right?
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Are there equivalents in the US to the Get Connected things? Like, do they do that, or they do the same thing with a different name?
It's kind of roadshow type things down there, I believe. I don't know if they call them the same thing.
They're just trainings, though. I don't think.
But you guys had a masterclass tour that went around too, didn't you?
Yeah,
but it's still training as well.
Training. It's all training, I think. I think there might be like a cocktail party, but I don't think it's anything like a QB Connect or anything like it.
Well, the road shows up here end at 6 o'clock. I mean, they're ending at 6 o'clock, these road shows. So there's going to be I mean, how much partying is going to happen at those? I think they're just on to the next event. So it's mostly learning.
Mm. All right, fair enough. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes left. So let's talk about how you get value out of the conferences from both a personal perspective and sending your team. So we've talked about that a little bit. A lot of people have talked about what they get out of it, but how do you get value out of sending your team to a conference? Any thoughts? Okay, everyone's just so quiet. Okay, so
why is
Crickets
not
again.
people
What's going on?
Brad to jump in, so we were all waiting.
I don't have a team. You guys, well, I guess we don't have big teams here tonight. Suzanne's got the biggest team.
Speak up, Brad.
I've got different teams. I got alliances. I mean,
so one of the new things we're starting this year, because our team went last year and they're going this year, is that everyone has to, and I don't think I've told my team yet, so hopefully they don't watch this. We'll talk about it. Just we haven't had anybody. Everybody knows they're going. But one of the things that we're going to introduce.
I think this is a good place to announce it.
A good place to announce it. Well, we'll see. This is a good way to see if anybody on our team actually watches our Wine and Whiskey Wednesday.
Good test.
But one of the things we're going to do is pick a client that you're having a challenge with in your book of clients that you're looking after, and go to the conference and find a solution. So find, an app partner that's going to solve it. But you have to go with a purpose. So
hiring a hit person is not a solution.
I like that.
No, it's
really, that's brilliant.
So
it is. I like that. That's a great.
It's really brilliant because it's then going to be, it's going to shift their mindset and actually get them into the critical thinking stage, as opposed to just the, hey, I'm attending and going to a party thing.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant.
Thank you. So we haven't told our team yet.
They know now.
So team, just in case you're watching, that's brilliant. It's really nice of your employer to do that for you.
For sure.
And then to come back and share it with the rest of the team, so that if they're also having the similar challenge, but at least this way everyone goes trying to solve something, which I think will be really good.
And should force them to speak to people they would not normally speak to.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And then just have a lunch and learn when you come back, and then they can share.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because normally what we find is that they go and they talk to app partners for apps that we're already using, as opposed to app partners that are new. So this will get them, actually going and talking to and visiting some of the other booths as well, which is good. Any other suggestions as to how you can get value out of sending your team to conferences?
I think we've probably covered a lot of them, right? I mean, team building, education. I think those are probably the two biggest.
Well, and being able to solve a problem in your firm. Mm-hmm. I think that's huge. And having somebody else come up with the solution, because then you're going to have a change manager and who isn't you in the firm.
We hope, yes. Mm-hmm. So Matthew, you've been really silent.
Yeah, did someone dare him?
Commenting on the side here, but you're not participating and speaking.
No, Matthew is actually not there. It's a recording.
It could be. This is a cool Matthew, though.
So in the sidebar,
Matthew, dare him or something? I was wondering. Somebody dare him to be like behind the scenes or something?
So Matthew said that you could win a prize for the best story at the conference. Cool. Again, a way to get them to intermingle with other people. We actually had, and it's specific to Kninja, but I remember when we launched Kninja, we actually sent our team out with Nina to take pictures. And we had so much fun with it and took some amazing pictures. And one of our girls, or our ladies, or one of our team, however you want to phrase it, the politically correct.
She would be very happy you called her a girl.
Yeah. She actually went up with Nina on the main stage and approached one of the speakers and said, I'd love it if, I could do this and take this picture. And she got the picture. And then she went to some of the stagehands and actually got a picture of Nina hanging off one of the lights at the top of the stage. So they had a lot of fun with it. So,
and also that was stuff we would never do.
Yeah.
Right. Like we wouldn't do that. So
see the face Matthew has right now. That's because I would not let him rush the stage when we were there. I wouldn't let him do it. He's like, let me go. I'm like, no, you're not going up there. So now you just gave him an idea that somebody hung from a chandelier or something. I'm like, oh God.
There's another, one of the books I'm reading is talking about creating an avatar for your client. So, you know how, I think it's Walmart has Sarah, and that's the typical Sarah client. And I love the story, how they have Sarah, and Sarah is the right age, the typical person, employment level, income level, and that's who they have as Sarah. And they would bring Sarah, they had a Sarah, and they would bring her into board meetings and say, what would Sarah think about this decision and whatnot? So what you could kind of do is whoever your Sarah is for your clients, your typical client, you could bring Sarah or the equivalent of into and say, what would Sarah think about this app? What would Sarah think about the solution? What would Sarah feel would be beneficial to Sarah? Is this a beneficial idea to Sarah? Would she appreciate having this type of financial advisory service? You know what I mean? Like, so you could give them a Sarah and have them walk around with Sarah and say, and think about the solutions from Sarah's point of view. And then that way they could kind of drive ideas about what would be beneficial, and it would help them filter ideas too, because they get overload. So
yeah. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So one of the other things, I think Steve, you started this and introduced it to me. Yeah, I think you did. Was because there's so much that you get from a conference. You attend these sessions, you get all these ideas, you make all these notes, and I'm infamous for taking notes. So I pretty much have, documented every single session that I've attended. And then I come back and I don't know where to start, and I don't do anything because I have all these things that I want to do and end up not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure that not doing anything is entirely accurate, but okay.
All right. Well, so not, yeah. Okay. So
I like that answer.
Started making a list at the end of the conference of 2 things I think you do, right?
Yep.
2 things that you've learned in the conference or that you've heard in the conference that you want to implement or try, whether it's an app that you want to roll out in your firm or something you want to do from a leadership standpoint or a training standpoint, and just focus on the 2 and forget about, all the 100 things that you have come up with a list for.
And that's the hardest thing, is ignoring the other 98 great things you heard.
But if you try and do 100,
that's the only way you get anything done.
Yeah.
But, Juliet, does that drive you crazy, ignoring the 98? Or you're trying to embrace it?
I've been driving her crazy for years. It's not going to change.
But I'm also not at 2. I've narrowed it down to like 9 or 10. I'm not at 2.
That's a little bit more bite size. 2 would be.
That's why I use Steve as an example, not myself.
2 would be overwhelming or underwhelming, as the case may be.
Depends what those 2 things are. They could be life-changing.
They could be life-changing. You're right, Steve.
But it also is that Steve always gets his 2. I don't always get my 9.
There you go.
Because
Steve's are always life-changing?
No, because he only has 2. And whereas my 9 tend to be, I get started and I go and then I move on to number 2 and then I stop and then I move on to number 3. And the 9 never actually hit the finish line anywhere. So.
All focus.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying. I didn't mention names. I'm just saying.
Okay. So, couple more comments from here. Okay. So, do you have repercussions for inappropriate behavior? I have no idea what that related to in what we said. Does anybody know?
Well, but it's like the staff Christmas party, right? And then you got the fool that gets drunk and behaves inappropriately. What do you do?
The photocopier.
Do you have a standard of professional conduct for the conference?
Rather than firing them?
But do you have an implicit conference policy?
Might have to sign a waiver.
I mean, that's
Thou shalt not swing from chandelier.
You don't behave at a conference any different than you would behave back at work. Behave professionally.
Except at the conference, you've paid for them to go, and that includes the parties.
Yep.
So
you
you're
still behave professionally at a party. You don't have to behave like an idiot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
good answer.
We've never had anything written. Suzanne, do you have a conference policy of any sort?
I trust them with a lot of stuff. If I can't trust them to add
and also, right, like most small business owners, we have nothing in writing until we need it in writing.
And I've never needed it, so I'm going to hope I never, I mean, I realize that's.
Yep.
And see, that's the benefit of clients working with us, because we have that experience with one of the clients, and then everybody else gets an employee manual.
Exactly.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Everybody else has a conflict resolution policy.
Yeah. Okay, so Christian has, nice to see you joining us, Christian. Okay, so he sees the conference as being mainly for the decision makers. I guess this is when we were talking about employees versus firm owners as to who the attendees are. And my team is the reason why T and I, which is Tanya, I'm assuming is T, can go and not worry about having to work. Okay, perfect. And last one, we've got 4 more minutes. Jennifer Baldick says, so for your team, set goals and objectives. If your expectation is for them to deliver a lunch and learn, be sure to spend the time to educate them as to what that is, and preferably to deliver a lunch and learn to them so they have firsthand knowledge. That's a good idea.
That is a great idea.
Where you lead them first with a lunch and learn so that they know what is the expectation is when they come back. That's a great idea. Okay, so we got 3 minutes left. Any other thoughts, suggestions that anyone wants to talk about? Because I'd like to spend 2 minutes brainstorming topics for the next couple of weeks.
I think when people are looking at a conference, they need to look at, first of all, the needs of their firm or their practice, and which conference is going to give that to them. So for example, not necessarily an accounting conference, but if you're in the brewery industry, then maybe go to a brewery conference. Looking at it from a matter of how much time you need to take away from your business. So how long is the conference, and how far is it geographically from yourself as well? And then, I guess figuring out whether you want to bring your staff on. So.
Yeah.
I think with the conferences, when you go to these, like I sat for a lot of years not going, wanting to go and not doing it. And then the first time I went, even though it was overwhelming for me, I got so much out of it that I really was sad that I didn't go all those years. And I really wished I had gone earlier and I got a lot. I started thinking about niching my business back in 2016. So that's when I started going to all the I had a plan and I implemented it when I got there. And so, and I also filled my day, and I don't know if Jennifer did this too. I filled my day went from 1 to, and I had so many things I went to, and I don't even know how many went to last year. I think we went to 2 the whole time last year, but when I went in 2016, I filled every single moment going to, and I would not recommend that either.
And it comes back to, what do you want to achieve while you're at the conference? Mm-hmm. Is it to network? Mm-hmm. Is it to meet people? Is it to learn on a certain topic? Then find the sessions that relate to that topic. If you want to develop your leadership, there's an entire track just on, leadership for managing teams and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And I still remember one of the early sessions that I attended, and I don't remember who it was that did the session. And it was really, start thinking like a CEO. And well, what does that mean? And he actually walked through what the difference is when you start your business, what it is you focus on versus when you want to take your business to the next level, what it is that you have to focus on. I remember writing a big blog post about it, but I don't remember who it was that said it. And this is 4 years later. And I'm still talking about it because I still remember the session. So they certainly can have a big impact on your business. Okay, 1 minute left. Any thoughts as to what anyone would like to talk about over the, to finish off the year? We've got, what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks left? I don't even know. So just throwing out, we're trying to plan our topics for the coming quarter. So I thought we would throw it out there. If there's anything that anyone would like us to discuss in relation to hot topics, please let me know.
Or even things that perhaps you don't think gets talked about enough. Because there are certain things that get talked about to death, in my humble opinion.
Fair enough.
But are there topics that, you sort of wish, that was talked about a little bit more? Nothing. Okay. So everything is covered.
All right. So
I just show up, but you guys come up with the topics. I'll just show up.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay.
As long as it's hot with 2 T's, I'm there.
9 o'clock. Thank you all very much for joining us
everyone.
for another Wine and Whiskey Wednesday. Have a fabulous week, and we'll see you next week.
Dinner time.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Take care.
Canadian Thanksgiving.
You Americans have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.